Well, hello students. My name is Professor Kraus, and this is your welcome introduction video to your upcoming fall course in the first session, Intro to Christianity. The goal of this video recording is to sort of introduce you to all the material, let you know which books you're going to need and what you can expect from me as your professor and what to expect out of the course. Please feel free to email me when you log into the learning platform. You can find my contact information. Please reach out if there's anything that's confusing. But this is an opportunity for me to walk you through the syllabus, show you around the course online, and that way when day one comes, and it'll be here before we know it, everybody's on the same page. So let's start out. Let me introduce myself. My name is Philip Kraus. I live in King, North Carolina, which is not that far away from the school, about 25-30 minutes. I've been married to my wife for 20 years. We have 4 kids of our own, ranging from 17 to 10, and we're also fostering 2 kids right now, and so we got a busy household. I'm a pastor at a local church in Germantown and love pastoring. It's my dream job. I also love teaching. I've been at Carolina U. Now this is starting year 5. Fall of 2020 is when I started, and so this is a course I've taught more than any other course. I love teaching this course, meeting new students. For many of you, this is the only time that I'll get a chance to have you in class because you are in a degree that's outside of my teaching, the classes that I teach. So it really is it's always an honor to be able to meet you and at least be able to spend one class getting to know you and hopefully helping you in your learning journey at Carolina University. So let's talk about our class. Our class is Intro to Christianity. It is unique in that at the school, it is one of I think there's 2 now, but it is the primary class that every student has to take. So for some of you, this is interesting material. For others of you, you have no desire to learn this material. I understand that, but hopefully it will be a course that you look back on and you appreciate the way that I teach it, the stuff that we read, those sorts of things. If you look here on the syllabus, my office hours are on Tuesdays. That's when you can set up an opportunity to, call me on the phone, or we can do a video call. If I'm on campus, I'll meet you somewhere to talk about anything that you might need. We're going to be in Deeds 105, which is at the bottom level of Deeds, pretty close to the cafeteria. It is the biggest classroom that we teach in, and so it's able to accommodate lots and lots of students. So we'll all pile in there, Deeds 105, and our class time is going to be on Mondays from 11 to 12:15. Mondays from 11 to 12:15. 90% of the time, we'll be out of there by noon. By 12 o'clock, we'll be done with the course. So, all right, well, let's jump into this class, what to expect this fall. Our class does start August 18th. August 18th, and so that's going to be the first week of class. Here are your required texts. We have 3. All right, the first one is Tim Keller's The Reason for God. Now, with all these books, if you can find them online, you can do that. You can download them on your computer, download them on an iPad, even your phone. You can find Mere Christianity is old enough of a book that you can actually find it for free online. And so you can type in open source C.S. Lewis Mere Christianity, and you can find a copy of it online. So if you don't care to keep this book, then you can do that. And then you've got John Stott's Basic Christianity. This is one that I don't believe is online. You're going to need. Now, all 3 of these books, as we're going to see in a little bit when I go over the course schedule, you're going to need them. You're going to read the majority of all 3 of these books. These books are very, very different. There are some points where they overlap, but I chose these books because each of the authors present their information very differently. They write differently. They help you to think differently. And so in the end, these books work really, really well for this sort of freshman level course. You can order these through our school bookstore. You can also go, if you have an Amazon account or know somebody who has an Amazon account, you can usually get these pretty quickly and for pretty cheap. And so that's the books. And you're going to need them, as soon as possible, because you're going to have reading quizzes starting week 2. Speaking of which, let's talk about our 4 course requirements and what is expected of you in these assignments. Number 1, you got reading quizzes. These reading quizzes are going to make up 30% of your grade. They're going to be made up of true or false, multiple choice, or short answer questions. They're going to be based on your reading for the week. They are supposed to be closed book, and there will always be a time limit, because if not, then students cheat, unfortunately, and they'll just go find the information in the book and then, do that sort of thing. So I've got to put a time limit on the quiz so that you don't have enough time to go back and look at their answers. If you watch the lectures and you do your reading, these questions on the quizzes, I'm not trying to trick you. They're going to be very straightforward, but it's going to help to have read. They're going to be due. They're going to be open from Thursday until Sunday night when they're due. They're going to begin week 2, because I recognize some of you may not be able to get all of your books in by week 1. So week 2 is when those are going to start. Now, starting week 1 is your interaction papers. Your interaction paper assignment requires you to interact with part of your reading for the week. The reading that you have to interact with, you do not get to choose what you're writing on each week, is listed right here in your syllabus. So anytime you're wondering, what am I writing on this week, go to your syllabus. For example, week 1, knowing that you may not have your book, you are going to write a 1-page paper based on the lectures that I give on what is truth. You're going to answer that question. What do you think is truth? Is truth open to what anybody says it is? Is truth only, is truth knowable? You're going to kind of think through that question. You can use my lecture as a diving board to kind of get you started in that. But then in week 2, for example, you're going to be using MC stands for Mere Christianity, one of your books. You're going to be reading, part of your reading that week is book 1, chapters 3 through 5. And so you're going to read chapters 3, 4, and 5, and then you are going to write on anything in that reading. Anything that piqued your interest, anything you agree with, disagree with. Notice right here, interaction in that paper might include agreement with something. I really agreed with the author for these reasons. You might further reflect on it, just think deeply about it, maybe an experience from your own life, or you might outright disagree with it, which is okay. Your grade is going to be based on how well you interact with the material, not on whether or not we agree, right? Just because you disagree with me doesn't mean you're going to get a bad grade. I want to see how you think through ideas. These must be 1-page single space. So if you send me a half a page, I'm going to give you a 50. If you send me 3/4 of a page, you're going to get it. If you send me double spaced page, you're going to get a 50, right? So just follow these rules. Normal 12-point font, single space, 1 page each week, and you can write on as many ideas in the reading or as you want. You might just have one main idea that you want to write on. You might have 3 that you really want to write a paragraph on. Either way, notice you're going to be kind of writing at least on each of the books that are assigned. Those are due every Sunday night. Now, your main writing assignment is not a research paper for this class because of the type of class this is. So, in your resources tab, and so if you look over here, you're going to have resources. I've got to go get this set up. But in your resources tab, you are going to have a blank interview sheet that you are going to use. And what you're going to do is you're going to find another person in your life, whether that's a student, professor, family member back home, someone you know, anything like that, a teammate if you if you do athletics. You are going to ask them questions. You're going to interview them about their beliefs. because you're going to choose someone with a different religious background, someone who has different beliefs than you, someone who has a different worldview than you. You cannot interview someone who has the same beliefs as you or that's too close, because that makes for a really bad interview. And the way this is going to be made up is you are going to, let me see if I can find this sheet real quick. All right. You are going to use this student interview sheet, right? You're going to download it, open it up, and this is where you're going to record all of the person's answers and then further elaborate. So let me show you how this works. You're going to put the name of the person you're interviewing, their age, what do they believe, and how do you know them, right? This should be very, very quick. You don't need to write like 12 paragraphs for this. Then I give you 4 questions that you have to ask them. Okay, these are the 4 questions that you have to use. Then the other half of the assignment is you've got to come up with 4 other good questions for them to answer. They can't be yes or no questions because it wouldn't give you very much material, because they would just answer with yes or no. You've got to come up with questions based on what they believe. So maybe you ask these 4 questions and they answer them in a way that it piques your interest, and you've got another question. So you are going to type out a summary of their answer, and then you are going to interact with their answer based on your own beliefs. So notice here in this interview paper, it says, number 1, you're going to give a summary of their answer, so you don't have to give a word-for-word answer that they give you. Kind of summarize the main points. But then you must interact with their beliefs. So let's say I don't believe in God, and the first question is, do you believe in a God? And I say, no, I don't believe in a God for these reasons, right? So you're going to record my answer down on this sheet of paper. All right, you're going to type out Philip. The person I interviewed does not, number 3, does not believe in a higher power for these reasons. Then you're going to interact with my answer and say, I believe Philip is wrong. I believe that there is a God who created all things for these reasons, if that makes sense. So this is not only learning about another person, what they believe, but also being able to see how your beliefs are similar or different. Now, this needs to be 3 to 4 pages single-spaced. So you're going to have to spend some time thinking through and interacting with it for you to get a good grade, or else it's not going to be long enough. If you have any questions, let me know about that. But yeah, that's going to be due towards the end of class, one of the last weeks. And then finally, you have a final exam. And we'll go over the final exam a lot more later on. I'll be sending out some announcements for that. It's going to be closed book. It's going to be 90 minutes. We're also going to, be using multiple choice, true or false, short answer, essay questions, that sort of thing for the final exam. So, final exam is just based on lectures, based on reading. Now, this video is for both in-person students, hybrid students, and online students, all right? This is where your course schedule is a little bit different. Now, for both classes, for the online and the in-person classes, you're going to be watching the same lectures. Those lectures are going to be found in your resources. They're going to be labeled by week 1, week 2, week 3. You're going to go in, watch those lectures, take notes, and they're going to prepare you for the final exam and for your assignments, like writing your papers and stuff. All right? Now, the difference for in-person students, for hybrid students, you have to come to class on those Mondays. If you don't, then your grade is going to be severely reduced, and then eventually if you miss too many classes, then you're going to fail the class. For those of you who are online, your syllabus is going to look a little bit different, but the main thing is after you watch the lectures, you're going to have to go into your weekly discussion forum, and by Sunday night, you're going to post between 100 and 200 words based on some main takeaways from the lectures, kind of showing me that you actually read the material and watched the lectures, if that makes sense. Now, here is our schedule. This kind of shows you what to expect. These are the lectures you're going to be watching. This is the mandatory reading, right? Right here, this tells you what you need to read. This is for your reading quiz. This is what's going to be on your reading quiz. If you don't read it, then you're not going to do well in the quizzes and you're not going to be prepared for the final exam. For those of you who are in-person hybrid students, this sort of explains what our classes are going to cover, what you need to be ready. It goes all the way through. For those of you who are online, you're not going to have those classes, but you're going to have to write in those discussion forums. This gives you the grading. This gives you what to expect, like your grade point and your range. Please feel free to email me at any time, even in the middle of the night, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Here is the section on course attendance and participation that you need to make sure you're familiar with. Let's talk about AI real quick, because in the last year I've had to fail students. I've had to give them zeros on assignments. You can use AI to brainstorm, to think through certain things, but you cannot make your papers or your answers on your final exam, even the essays. You cannot use AI to write those for you. And believe me, students do it. And our software now picks up on it. So if you do that, then you're likely going to get in trouble. And if you get in trouble, I don't want you to make that mistake. Do all your reading, watch the lectures, and you're going to be fine. And so when it comes, for example, to your final exam, number one, it's closed book, it's closed internet. You're not allowed to use any of that. But if you use AI and it shows on that final exam, then I'll be forced to give you a 0 for the final exam, maybe even give you a 0 for the course. So make sure that you are using AI in ways that are permitted. For our papers, also, students in the past semester over the summer decided to use AI to write their papers and they received zeros. I've done this, been a professor long enough. I know the way students write versus the way AI writes. And so it will be very, very obvious. And we also have software that we can use to show when you do that. So don't make that mistake. Do your own work and you're going to be okay. Let's see. Yep. That's the main thing for our course. If you're watching right here, here is sort of the course platform you're going to be using. You're going to have announcements every single week, multiple announcements per week. You're going to have your coursework going to be listed here, showing you what's due each week. Some of them will be open immediately. Some of them will not be open until a certain time. Let's see, discussions. For those of you who are participating in the discussion forums for the online course, you're going to find that under discussions. And then for your resources is where you're going to find all your student interview sheet you have to use, and also your all your lectures that you're going to be watching. So that's sort of the course in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I look forward to meeting all of you who are going to be in person and hopefully having the chance to interact with those of you who are online. But I'm here for you to help you in any way possible. And I hope you have a great rest of the summer and look forward to seeing you on day one. God bless.